I was asked about what goes into creating a modern worship service. I'm not going to spend too much time on this. I'll just kind of go through. There are there is a specifically and carefully crafted order to these modern worship services. There is. It's specifically designed, they're specifically crafted. And the bigger churches craft them in a way where smaller churches want to imitate. And as we know, Satan is the great imitator, so that shouldn't surprise us at all. But these smaller churches want to imitate the bigger church. So these bigger churches, who I believe the leaders of these churches, like Bill Johnson, Brian Houston, Stephen Furtick and stuff, I believe that they're firmly demon possessed. I believe that they are possessed. So they have watch over how these services are created, and they create it specifically designed to Satan's specifications for this. So if you guys don't know my history, I'm not going to go into a big old type of thing from it. I came from two small NAR churches where I helped plan these services. They were smaller churches. I wasn't wrapped up in a big mega church like the big ones, but I was a part of smaller churches who were trying to imitate the bigger ones. So I helped plan these services, and I'm telling you, they specifically design from beginning to end how these things go. Each church, again, these were small. The two churches I was a part of were small. So they weren't specifically designing them like the bigger churches, but they were imitating for them. And so they were trying to be like Hillsong, Bethel, Elevation, etc., and they designed them specifically this way. So how does this go? How does this play out? How do you design these things? What goes into them? Why do they make these decisions? Well, the first thing that they do is the mood and the setting. It's all about when you first walk into the sanctuary, when the thing is just about to begin. Mood and setting, sanctuary, or the mood and setting. Lights, house lights, stage lights, and spotlights. All these things play an effect. You put them in certain areas, you put them on certain brightness levels, and you use certain colors. And it is a psychological aspect that will get somebody in a specific place for accepting things. House lights, usually when the service is taking place, house lights are brought either completely off or down to a low level. And all the light that you see is either spotlight or stage light. And they use specific colors and brightnesses on that. And like I said, it's a psychological thing. When you're seeing certain colors and at a certain ambient level, it starts playing tricks on the mind. Another aspect is background screens. When you see specific screens that they have, usually they have words, the song lyrics and stuff on them. But background screens, you'll notice that they usually use calming backgrounds. Slow motion ocean waves, trees that are being blown by the wind, or valleys of tall grass that's kind of swaying in the wind. If it's not something like nature in a specific way, they will use certain shapes traveling in different areas. You'll see a lot of triangles, which again, that is leading into another occultic type of symbol, pyramids, triangles. You'll see a lot of that stuff, usually not sharp, but they have curved, soft edges, because again, that plays more for the mind, of softening up the mind itself. All this stuff is particularly, specifically designed, and they use that. Some bigger churches, the churches I was in didn't have this, but some bigger churches, they use fog machines, where they'll put light fog either on the stage or at the feet of the audience. Some will also use glitter, like Bethel is known for their God clouds or angel clouds, where it's gold glitter is raining from the ceiling, saying that that's the presence of God, that's the Holy Spirit entering the room. It's actually a fog machine and Hobby Lobby glitter dumped into the air vents. They use that as well. It's a mind trick that they do. Pre-music, so not the music that you're singing, but the music when you first walk in. They usually have this ambient, calming type of music. What they're trying to do is trying to calm down the person, because when you're calm and you're relaxed, you tend to be more open for things that will be said to you. Again, it's a psychological aspect. Something that gets repeated a lot, usually by the greeters or anybody who's a part of the staff or leadership or attends the church. They always try and tell people when you're here, invite God in, invite the Holy Spirit in, invite Jesus. We invite you here. There's actually a lot of songs where it's Jesus, you are welcome here. We invite you in here. They're basically trying to say we have the authority. We have to give God permission to come in, type of thing. They do that as well. You'll hear that a lot at these churches. Specifically designed music with certain chord progression and song structure. Now we're getting into the music that is actually sung on stage for quote unquote worship. Christian contemporary music, CCM music, uses some chord progressions, the same sort chord progressions as secular music, as the mind is more open to hearing it. Now, I'm not going to claim to be an expert on this. I was a drummer. I hit things. I didn't hit chords. But from what I understand and from what I have learned from a couple of people who also, or they played guitar and also got out of there, they used specific chord progressions. Like you could not deviate from these chord progressions because these things are built specifically to hit something in your head to make you more susceptible to what is going in it. Again, I'm not going to be an expert on that, but that is happening. And it's the same stuff that they use in secular music with the devil stuff. And they're also doing it in CCM music as well. Song structure, this is more of my area. This is where I was heavily involved with. Song structure was designed to start very soft. I mean, very, very soft, whether just a pad, which a pad, if you guys don't know what that is, it's this electronic thing where you hit like a certain chord. It's run through a computer, and it's just a solid note that just kind of gives background filler to the music that's being played over the top of it. If you don't know, just go on YouTube, type in music pads, and it'll give you an idea of what that is. Whether it's that or just a piano or a very soft, ethereal type of guitar. You start very soft, and then you slowly build up by the second verse, just slowly, just add some instruments and kind of progress from there. You go to the second verse, and then usually that will lead on the next chorus further. It'll lead to a very long build up or to a very repetitious bridge. And you'll see a lot of these modern worship songs where you just see the drummer, he's just da, 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 and they're just building for like 2 minutes. You see the guitar players, they're just building and everything. It's just dun, 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 and it's just this building. It keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And the voices start getting louder and everybody starts singing. And you either get to a huge crescendo type of chorus or something like that, or you get to a bridge where you're just repeating the same line over and over and over again, just like what we read with the Charity Gale song, the I am who I am section. That's the bridge. It's just the same line repeated over and over and over and over and over again. Because at this point, as you've gone through all this stuff, every bit that's been played in, whether it's the ambient music that was beforehand, the lights and the ethereal sound of the music that you're getting, the song structure, everything has now played into the person's mind and their body, where they're now open to, if you start repeating something over and over and over again, you start chanting something, their mind will then start to hold on to that, even if it's just subconsciously. And yes, psychology plays a major part in how Satan plays these games. This is all built specifically. And after that huge crescendo, after that repetitious bridge and all this stuff, it'll drop down back to basically soft, just like at the very beginning of the song. Because most of the time they're either loading up for the next song, which will do the same thing, or they're loading up for the message that's coming. These song structures are built specifically for that. Not every song follows that, but the majority do. Lyrics are specifically designed. They are specifically designed to be hollow, vague, or generalistic, cheap, and easily remembered. Again, we talked about the money side of this, build it to sell. The focus is usually built on self or a general entity. A lot of these songs, it sounds like you don't know if you're singing to God or your boyfriend or girlfriend. It's designed specifically for that. Very repetitious lyrics with ethereal, swelling guitar, keys, and pads. Again, this is a mood setter. Get your body calm, relaxed, ready to accept anything that comes your way. This is proven. These are techniques that if you want to dive into psychologists where they've done tests, you can even go back to The MK Ultra type of programs, they did the same thing. Where if you get somebody in the right mood, you get them their body relaxed, you get their mind relaxed and opened through sights and sounds, and then you repeat something over and over again, even if it's subconscious, they take it. It sticks. It gets in there. There's an imprint. This stuff is real, and they use it. Satan uses it in Christian music. Now, playing 30 or 40 minutes of this music will allow the speaker to have an audience mentally primed and prepared to take in the message, even if they may not fully agree with it. This is their way of bypassing the brick wall that's set up. A lot of people, they don't go in with the mindset of, I disagree with this guy, so I'm going to be on guard. No, they just go in as, I'm going to a church service. And even if they don't fully agree with what the message might be, after going through 30 or 40 minutes of all this sight and sound and everything that's been played to it, your subconscious, your mind is open to it. This is spiritual warfare, guys. This is spiritual warfare. And this is not some conspiracy thing. I'm not making this up. This is stuff that is really done with modern day worship music. It really is. Satan has done this. And he does the same thing in secular music as well. It's a different structure how they do it, but it's all the same. You're going to follow this plan because it works. The music, the mood, the lights, the structure, and the lyrics all create a psychological enchantment with white magic. The music, the mood, the lights, the structure, and the lyrics all create a psychological enchantment with white magic. When you put the 30 or 40 minutes of that music, some even go for a whole hour, and then you pin a short message, usually about 30 or 45 minutes, that some of them even only go like 20, 25 minutes. You do that, you put a short message that focuses on one specific point, and then you use ear-tickling subjects and stories around it to continue to drive that one point home, it'll sink in. Even if it's subconscious, even if you don't realize it, it's specifically designed to get that one thing in there. So if you're Stephen Furtick and you're teaching Little God's Doctrine and you got a 45-minute worship session with all of this going on, and then you go on there and you preach a 35-minute message about Little God's Doctrine, and you use all this stuff to keep people entertained, ear-tickled, what they want to hear, all to pinpoint that message, those people are going to start to accept it. They're going to start to believe they're little gods. That's how it works. And then after the message, they usually follow it up with a big up-tempo or bright song to finish off the service. This type of song right after, and even this is planned, this type of song right after the enchanted message, the white magic message that was just given to them, will be the cap on the bottle. And that is an actual term. It'll be the cap on the bottle, or it's the stamp on the brain. It's basically the snap the brain back into reality to not allow the person to question what they just heard. So what you're doing is you're dumping all this stuff in the bottle, and then you're slamming the cap on it. What you're doing is you're now snapping the brain back to reality with a bright, upbeat, quick, big type of song that's completely different from all the other stuff that you just did, and it's bringing you out of like an enchantment. Like, you ever been what's the word when you're like the watch and you get somebody to fall into like I can't think of the word. I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about. But when you put somebody in that and then you can kind of feed them information, I don't know if it does work, but most of them are hacks. But it is a real thing where it's like, you're feeling very sleepy. When I snap my fingers, you will be like a duck type of thing or something like that. And you snap your fingers and they start acting like a duck. Well, it's kind of the same thing what they're doing with this hypnotism. Thank you. It's basically the same thing. It's like a hypnotism. You're basically snapping the brain back to reality, and everything that they just heard, you're not giving them an opportunity to think about it. And so it's just locked in there. That's how it works. And when you have people like Hillsong, when you have people like Elevation, and you have people like Bethel and all of those other big churches that are writing music and designing these worship things. Go on YouTube and look up the live shows of these songs. It's the same. They all look identical. You can't tell the difference between the churches and the groups because all the lights, all the screen stuff, all of the music, all of the words, everything all sounds the same. Why? It's because they design it exactly like this. This is real, guys. This is real. I've sat in meetings with worship leaders and pastors who have discussed this type of stuff. I am not kidding you. Have discussed this type of stuff, and then they went and implemented it in their church. And I was a part of it. It's real. And this is why I'm so against this type of music. That's why I warn people, if you've got people that don't have an understanding of Jesus and the gospel, you do not partake in anything that they're creating. They are unqualified for that position. They are unqualified.